Today we're going to be upgrading a Windows 7 gaming PC. And this is actually a follow-up to the last video I posted on this channel, where I built and benchmarked the computer we're going to be working on in this video. This video assumes you've seen the last one, so if you haven't watched it yet, I suggest you do so before continuing. Link in the card and the description. Now you'll recall from the last video that the one component I was having trouble sourcing for this build was the graphics card. I was looking to get a mid-range GTX 600 or 700 series card, but with the current GPU market, I was stuck with the GT 730. The performance of this card was shockingly bad, so much so that this computer has been mostly useless to me since I built it. Recently though, I did manage to score an upgrade when I found this barely used GTX 750 Ti for next to nothing at a yard sale. Personally, I was hoping for something a bit more powerful than this for this machine, but this card is factory overclocked, and either way it should be a hell of a step up from what I was using before. I'm also going to be doing a couple other small upgrades while I'm at it. For one thing, I now have a 3.5-inch drive bay adapter for the SSD. You'll recall that I just had it hanging loose in the case before. I'm also going to be adding a 1TB hybrid drive to this machine. The drive that's in there now is only 256 gigs, and it's begun to fill up rather quickly, so this will give me more space to work with. I'll start by putting the SSD in the adapter, and then mounting both drives in the pull-out rack this case has. Then it's time to install the new GPU. The position of the power connector on this card is a little odd. For some reason it's on the opposite end of the card from where you usually find it, so I have to stretch the 6-pin power lead halfway across the case just to reach it. I don't think I've ever seen that before. After that, all that's left to do is hook up the drives and slot the rack back into the case. All around, a pretty straightforward upgrade. Alright, so we're all booted up, and the first thing I'd like to do is make sure all the new hardware is being detected. The new drive shows up in Explorer, and it looks like there's still a previous Windows installation on it, so that's working. Taking a look at the NVIDIA control panel shows that we now have a 2GB GTX 750 Ti installed. Very good. Next thing to do is format the new hard drive, and this actually gave me a bit of trouble. For some reason, Windows Disk Manager was only able to format the main Windows partition on this drive. The smaller system and recovery partitions couldn't be deleted or modified. I ended up having to install a third-party partition manager to do this, but that worked like a charm. After a quick format, the drive is ready to go. Now it's time to get into some benchmarks and see just how much of a difference that new video card makes. Starting things off once again, we have the largely meaningless Windows Performance Index assessment. The GT 730 scored a 6.7 on this test out of a possible 7.9, and the 750 Ti brings that score up to a full 7.7. That's not an insubstantial jump, but it's worth noting that the graphical performance is still the weakest aspect of this machine according to Windows. I'm curious how this upgrade is going to translate to a real-world use case. To find out, we'll be testing the same games as last time and comparing the results. First up is F.E.A.R with its built-in performance assessment. I still can't enable VSync with my capture card connected for some reason, but aside from that, it ran buttery smooth with an average frame rate of 60 FPS, hitting a high of 64 and low of 58. Now that's the kind of performance I want to see. Last time we were struggling to hit 25 FPS. Far Cry 2 is a similar story. The Ranch demo sat at around 20 FPS for most of its runtime with the GT 730, but with the 750 Ti, it held steady at 59 to 60 FPS for most of its runtime, only dipping a couple of times when things got busy. The end totals give us an average frame rate of 59 FPS, with a high of 62 and a low of 53. It's worth noting that this test did hitch about every 10 seconds or so, but it didn't seem to impact the frame rate counter, which leads me to believe this was caused by streaming in level data. The Far Cry 2 action scene demo had the most interesting results of any of the tests I ran. The frame rate was all over the place, with an average of 57 FPS, but a minimum of 44, with constant fluctuations in between. I think this test may be a bit broken though, because for some reason it runs way too fast. I'm not sure what could be causing this, as I've run through the demo multiple times to see if it fixes itself, and every time it's like it's playing on fast forward. It generates wildly inconsistent results, and I have a feeling the performance on this test would be better, or at least more consistent, if it would run at the speed it's supposed to. This problem doesn't seem to exist in any of the other tests, or in the game itself, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Moving on to Quake IV, and for our first test, I've made sure the anti-aliasing is maxed out again. The GT730 struggled to keep up double-digit frame rates under these conditions. This time around, the game is technically playable, though not exactly pleasant. The anti-aliasing still causes a massive performance hit, with frame rates fluctuating between the mid-20s and high 40s most of the time. I think there may also still be a bit of input lag, though we did actually manage to hit 60 FPS for one brief moment. Unsurprisingly, Quake IV ran absolutely flawlessly with this card once I turned the anti-aliasing off. The textures still look like crap, so at this point I'm thinking I may have missed a setting somewhere, because I know they can look better than this. Overall, another substantial improvement over last time. Now for the final test, I reran the 3D Mark Vantage assessment. This time around, we actually got somewhat decent performance on the graphics tests, with frame rates hovering around 30 most of the time, and jumping all the way up to 60 or so during a few segments. The physics test still runs abysmally, but that's because it's CPU dependent, so not really going to be affected by this upgrade. The final score for this series of tests is 16,483, which puts this machine in the 52nd percentile of all computers that have ever run this test. That's a significant step up from our previous run, which had this same computer in the 19th percentile with the GT730. This new score also handily beats out the hypothetical 2013 Office PC, which I had set as the bar to clear with this upgrade. Overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy with the performance I'm getting out of this machine now. I think I can call this computer done for the moment. It has the compatibility I want, and it performs very well. I might do another round of upgrades on it at some point down the line, but I'm in no hurry to do so, as it's taken me way longer than expected just to get to this point. I think that's it for the moment. Next video, I promise, will be about something besides this computer. Bye!